Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's Always Holly in Jollywood. My name is Patrick, and I am one of your hosts. Along with me are my two co-hosts. Please introduce yourselves.
It's the holiday season, so I am red and white drum arts. Yeah, sure, that works.
And I am just a simple lump of coal, but you can call me Lugia.
Yes, we're a fun bunch, especially
You're not
around the
Lugia, you're
holidays.
Delibird today. You're a different bird Pokemon.
Shit!
Before we jump into some holiday cheer, let's talk about some things that happened this week.
Oh yeah, that's also why my Kermit profile is different this week. Now it's Christmas Kermit.
It was different last episode.
It was Big Chungus
well.
Kermit before.
No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Christmas Kermit last time.
Yeah, last time, but the episode before that, it was Big Chungus Kermit.
No, not last time. I changed it on December 1st.
JoJo
Whatever.
Part 6. Red, take it away.
Oh yeah, so the latest installment of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure got released on Netflix. Of course, not the entirety of it, but the first part, I guess, of Part 6. So yeah, they're gonna be releasing Part 6 into multiple parts. So I know it's called, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, but JoJo's essentially like an anthology show, like the Fargo TV show, where each part is its own standalone story. You can watch it completely alone. It's not recommended though, because there are tie-ins and whatnot. You should watch it in order. But yeah. So part 6 is the final of the original canon, and it features a very popular Joestar, the first female Joestar, Jolene Cujo. So yeah, people are really excited for this one, as they are for every JoJo part. But yeah, I have only seen the first 2 parts of JoJo, so I have not seen this. But yeah,
I've only seen the
cool.
first 3.
Okay, but you're further than me. Stardust Crusaders. This is about Jotaro's daughter, who is the main character of Stardust Crusaders. Oh yeah, each part in JoJo. This is about the Joestar family. So each part basically is a different member of the family. Is basically going through the generations. So you have Jonathan, and then his grandson Joseph, and then his grandson Jotaro. Technically, the next one, Josuke, is younger than Jotaro, but he's actually Jotaro's uncle because Joseph is kind of a slut. And then you got Giorno, who's confusing because basically what happened there is that the villain, who's the brother of Jonathan, the first one, the great-great-grandpa, something level grandpa, deal like took over his body and then had a kid with him. So technically, this is like some weird sort of.
I think we're getting into spoiler territory.
So we'll just go to Jolene, who's got a very simple backstory in that is just Jotaro's kid. So yeah, that's it. Very simple. This one also takes place in the 2000s. Also takes place in Florida. People have jokingly mentioned that in this part, all the people in it are significantly uglier than the other parts, and this is intentional. The guy went to Florida and just drew people he saw in Florida. And Florida is like the mutation spot of like the America, I guess.
Yeah, we're trying to saw that state off.
Yeah. Bugs Bunny did once, and he succeeded.
Yeah. Anyway, Peter Jackson released a new documentary about the Beatles, and people are excited because it's got a bunch of never before seen behind the scene footage, and it's been getting some good press. So I'm gonna check it out. Actually, I was gonna check it out over Thanksgiving break with my family, but we got a bit preoccupied.
It's on Disney Plus, right?
Yes, it is. Anyway, Chris Cuomo from CNN got fired. I don't know why.
Probably because of the whole thing with Andrew Cuomo.
Maybe.
He's probably involved somehow.
What thing? At least that's... Care to elaborate?
Andrew Cuomo is, I believe, a sexual predator.
Ah, okay.
And Chris Cuomo's like his brother, cousin?
Brother, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a few months ago, the whole Andrew Cuomo thing. We're not going to get into it. Yeah, last bit of news is that we got our first glimpse at Spider-Verse 2 Across the Spider-Verse, and they're going all Dune on us by splitting it into 2 parts. This is part 1.
Yes.
So we're going to get a Spider-Verse 2 part 2?
Essentially.
Yeah.
Or would that make it Spider-Verse 3?
Basically, they're making it a trilogy. It's like Back to the Future, part 2 and 3. That's basically how it is. It's just for some reason they're naming it Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, which to me is just an odd naming choice. I'm like, just call it Part 2, or don't call it part. Personally, the way I feel is that movies should only be called parts if you're adapting a book, because like if it's original, just give the third entry a different title. Empire Strikes Back ends on a cliffhanger. It's not called Return of the Jedi Part 1. It's called Empire.
Or Star Wars Part 3.
Then what would the final movie be called? Over the Spider-Verse?
Beyond the Spider-Verse.
No, over, because the trilogy is over.
Sure.
You never know, it could
beyond,
be a quadrilogy.
It's not hard.
Money talks.
Anyway, to actually talk about what we got with the teaser,
I think it looks cool.
Yeah, they're
it looks like the characters are a little bit older.
They're going above and beyond with the visuals. We're gonna get some more styles, which
I like. Great. It seems to be leaning more into the art style towards the end of the movie, so it's leaning more into the flatter 2D more look, because like, which is interesting. I like it. I do somewhat prefer elements from like the first movie a bit more, but I do like this sort of colorful pop art sort of look to it. And they got Miguel O'Hara, who's Spider-Man 2099, and he's like one of the best superheroes ever. He's like Batman Beyond, but Spider-Man, and raw as fuck. So yeah, that's gonna be cool. A lot of people are hoping for Spider-Man to show up, who's the Japanese Spider-Man TV show. 60 Spider-Man to show up, as he was teased already, and Spider's Man, which is an alternate universe where Peter Parker got devoured by a bunch of spiders, and they like somehow got his consciousness. So basically, Spider's Man is just a pile of spiders that think they're Peter Parker.
That comes out next October.
Yes, and because Spider-Verse, because this and Part 2 are being made at the same time, it's likely going to be like the same deal with the Matrix trilogy or the Back to the Future trilogy or the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, where they're released within like 6 months to 1 year apart from each other.
Something like that. We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, it's time for some modern movie review. I'm going to make this one quick. So, The Last Duel, Ridley Scott's not latest movie, as he actually just released another movie this year.
House of Gucci.
Yeah, very busy guy for being 85 years old.
I mean, weird having a director release 2 movies like a month apart.
Yeah, it's especially one this old. Like Takashi Mike, he releases like 4 movies a year, but that guy's still young and virile, and also he's a psychopath.
Yeah, so good on you, Ridley Scott. Still getting stuff out there.
Yeah, and good on you for actually still being good after all these years, because The Last Duel was a very good movie. In fact, I would probably say it's my second favorite movie I've seen this year so far.
What about in terms of Ridley Scott films?
In terms of Ridley Scott films, well, I've only seen a handful of his movies, but I'd probably put this as like my 4th favorite after, obviously Alien, Blade Runner, and The Martian. Surprisingly, I like The Martian quite a bit. So I'd probably say this is the 4th best. This movie is basically, how do I say it? It's Rashomon, but like in medieval Europe instead of it's basically Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon, but in medieval Europe, and putting more emphasis on ego of the male. Basically, its third act is essentially where the big difference in terms of the Rashomon thing happens, where Rashomon's more of like we're seeing a specific event from different perspectives, when this one is also we're seeing a different event from different perspectives, but it's more of like in terms of let's just say that the final act of this movie kind of shifts it a bit into more unique territories, and also just interesting perspective. A little bit of a content warning: this movie is about rape. Granted, the original Rashomon was also about rape, so I guess content warning for both of them. This movie is actually like shockingly similar to Rashomon. It's a good sort of remake of Rashomon, I guess, because it still feels original despite essentially being the same movie. It feels very distinct from it. I do like Rashomon a bit more, but Kurosawa was like one of my favorite fucking directors ever.
I do know that this movie bombed at the box office, and apparently Ridley Scott blames it on millennials and their cell phones.
Yeah, I'm not blaming that on that. I'm blaming it just on the fact that this was an acquisition from Disney from Fox, and Disney does not care about this movie, so they just kind of dumped it and didn't give it any promotion. I
Yeah.
did not know this movie came out until people told me, "Hey, this movie bombed," and it was like, "Oh, I didn't even know this existed." Okay.
Yeah, and it was a movie that kind of came out with little marketing and in like a crowded month. Like a lot of stuff came out in October.
Yeah. Anyway, I'd recommend this movie if you're into character studies, into mysteries. Although it's not really a mystery, you know exactly what it is. Rashomon was more of a mystery. And if you like medieval swordplay stuff, because the action of this is very good. I'd say, if you like the action in Gladiator, you'd probably like this. Overall, 8 out of 10. Thought it was pretty good. Probably the movie I've liked the most out of the everything we're going to talk about in the rest of this episode. Lugia, your turn.
Oh,
What do you mean? Oh, okay. So up next on the docket, I know we've already talked about it before in a previous episode, but only Red saw this, and I've actually had a chance to watch this for myself. I said it was going to be the last time, but it's not. This probably is the last time now. Live action Cowboy Bebop.
So,
I promise, this is the last fucking time we're talking about it.
yeah.
You sure?
I already saw your tweets about it, so
Yeah, it.
jump right into it.
All right, so to anyone out there who actually likes this for what it is, that is fine. I'm glad you liked it. I fucking hated it though. Dear God.
I'd like to just make a quick statement to all the people that do like this. You know what? Fuck you. I'm kidding, but yeah. Although, actually, you know what? Fuck you if you watch this, but then also refuse to watch the original because it's anime.
It is on Netflix now.
Yeah.
So you have no
but
excuse.
But if you just happen to like it, but you still are gonna check out the anime, or you're not biased against anime, you know what? More power to you.
So here's the thing. Despite it being a live action adaptation, it does do its own thing near the end, which is fine. I'm glad that they're trying to do something new with it, but what they try to do just makes no fucking sense.
Okay, wait, I got an idea. So I didn't do spoiler talk last time. Do you want to go into spoilers this time? Because you're not gonna watch
I don't
this,
think
are you, Patrick?
Patrick's not gonna watch
Nah,
it.
I'm not. No.
Yeah. Okay.
If I'm watching Cowboy Bebop, I'm gonna watch the original Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Please do.
Good. Do that. That's my recommendation. 10 out of 10 series.
So,
anyway,
spoil away. I really don't care.
Okay, so the only real major change is they give Julia more development, kinda, by just showing they kind of give like Vicious, kind of make him a deuteragonist. So they kind of cut to him every once in a while, and you see Julia and whatnot. And the big twist at the end is that instead of Vicious being the one that sort of shoots Spike and sends him through the window, Julia kills Vicious, and then
no, she doesn't kill him.
What
she just locks him in a sex dungeon.
Right, sorry. She does that, and then she shoots Spike, so I guess tries to kill Spike. And which was an odd turn. Like, I get why she did that to Vicious. I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then her wanting to become the big boss villain, I'm like, all right, feels a bit odd. Just
that came out of nowhere. At no point was that alluded to.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like they wanted to have the exact same sort of ending with like Spike being in that position, but like they want to do the Julia twist, and they're like,
well, the thing is, it could have worked. If they actually showed that to us, that Julia was having conflicting thoughts about wanting to stay in the syndicate.
Yeah.
But it just comes out of nowhere, and it's like, when the fuck does this happen?
I don't. What I was thinking is because of Vicious's like horrible hair and like shitty white hair, I was thinking this kind of reminds me of like season 1 of Game of Thrones, because Daenerys is basically being abused by her brother, and then it's Game of Thrones, so obviously her brother gets murked, and then Daenerys becomes like, just through cultural osmosis, you guys know, as a Game of Thrones, that Dragon Lady becomes kind of a big deal. That's what I was thinking. Like that would be like a good way to have done it. Rip off Game of Thrones. Why not? No one's rewatching Game of Thrones now because of how bad that is. You could probably steal from that show and no one bat an eye.
Speaking of Vicious, I did not like his segments. They were, well, for one, very boring. I don't think Vicious as a character in this adaptation was very good. If they're trying to make him out to be the central antagonist, they are not doing a very good job of doing that.
Well, I don't think he's a central antagonist anymore. Season 2 is gonna be Julia's time to shine, baby.
Which also sucks, so oh well.
Yeah, if we get a season 2, I doubt it, but you know.
I don't quite understand what the point of his arc was supposed to be anyway.
Yeah. The effects are off. Like Vicious's white hair looks so bad. I'm like, you guys made the Netflix also made The Witcher, and like Henry Cavill's hair
He
looks
looks
fine
like
in
a
that,
white-haired
so
Lord Farquaad. I know I'm not the first person to make that comparison, but that's what I noticed.
I know you thought the action scenes were kind of cool. I didn't, but like
some of them were. I think the scenes that they were trying to recreate from the original were off, but the original action scenes I think were fine.
Okay, fair enough. I can see that.
Like the opening casino scene. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. Even if it was basically a rip of the opening in the movie.
Yeah, there's one thing about the cinematography I want to mention. Have you seen the Thor movie?
No.
Rugia?
Yeah, I've seen
Patrick.
the Thor movie.
Okay,
yeah,
so you know how that movie, like the movie had just like an abuse of Dutch angles?
Yeah, oh, I know where you're going with this.
Been a long time since I've seen Thor. And when I did see it, I didn't focus on that.
Okay, well, have you seen like Battlefield Earth or whatever?
No, but I am very well aware that's like the most infamous example of Dutch angles.
Yeah, basically, Cowboy Bebop's giving Battlefield Earth a run for its money because they have almost every shot being a Dutch angle. And I think that's because they're trying to make it look dynamic like an anime, but I'm like, the anime didn't fucking do that.
The point of a Dutch angle is to communicate to the viewer that something is off in the scene. Yeah, using it everywhere communicates nothing.
Well, from what you guys are describing of this anime, it sounds like everything is off. Or not anime, live action anime. I don't even fucking know.
It's a written
what I
mess.
think happened. So my theory about how this thing was made is that someone read the plot synopsis of Cowboy Bebop and they're like, "What's anime, right?" And someone's like, "Oh, you know, like the Studio Trigger or whatever." So they saw like Gurren Lagann or whatever. It's like, "Yeah, we'll just try to do that, but with Cowboy Bebop instead." But Cowboy Bebop's more of like Batman. Cowboy Bebop is more like Batman and noir with some sort of animated elements to it. Like, I don't know, maybe if like they try to shoot this thing like, I don't know, like how Tim Burton shot his Batman movies, then it might have worked. You know, or Dick Tracy.
I want to go back to the characters real quick.
Yeah, go back.
The main cast anyway.
Curious.
Jet was actually really good. I like what they did with his character, even if they had to make him black just for the one blackmail joke that everyone's memed to death.
Yeah, also I found it weird that they made him a deadbeat dad because I'm like, this is like a negative stereotype, but you know, whatever.
He still cares for his daughter. In fact, that one scene in episode 7 where he's watching her recital while Spike is getting his ass kicked by a bunch of goons and he's just dancing along with it. That was genuinely a really good scene.
Yeah, basically Jet's the best part of this show. Spike
was alright.
Mediocre. Not good, but not bad.
I think John Cho did a good enough job, like, trying to portray Spike as a cool, lazy dude. It's just that his character is very conflicting with the major plot, because I don't really throw this term around a whole lot, but it makes Spike seem bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's this chill dude on one side, and on the other, he's really depressing. And there's no in-between. There's no transition between those.
Like, Spike's depressing in the show, but it's more of like a melancholic sort of depressing, where it's like...
Guys, I was not aware that today's episode was actually a double feature.
Yeah.
I'll just put chapters down. It's fine.
Okay,
so we can skip to the main thing.
Like, what I'm...
And the last main character...
We gotta figure out how is Cowboy Bebop live action and Anna and the Apocalypse tangentially related?
They're live action.
That's a very loose connection. It's like saying...
It's still a connection.
Anna and the Apocalypse is a musical, and Cowboy Bebop sets are so fake, you think that it's a musical. Hey. Alright,
last main character, Faye Valentine. I did not like what they did with her. I don't blame her actress. I mean, I understand, like, everyone's got bills to pay. I don't like how she's written.
I mean, I don't like how she's acted either, but, like, I don't...
Because now more than ever, Faye's just basically a total bitch. and her dialogue is some of the worst out of the entire cast. Like in the final episode, you remember what she says after she storms the church with the ship? I forget the name of the ship, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, the ship's called the Bebop.
No, her own ship.
Oh, yeah. I forgot the red one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You know what she said?
No.
Welcome to the ouch, motherfucker.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone wrote that
What?
and got paid
What?
for it. Yes, that is a
You're
real
kidding.
line.
That is
Somehow
Oh my
worse than the
God.
blackmail line from episode 3.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Faye's ship is called the Red Tail.
Okay.
It's not red. It's just called the Red Tail. I don't know why.
I thought it was red. No, that's Spike's.
Yeah, Spike's one is red.
Wait, we forgot one more character.
Ed was there for 40 seconds. I'm not gonna get mad at a 40-second performance.
Fair
I
enough.
don't care.
It's just, I hope they take notes for season 2, because they are gonna do a season 2. It's gonna happen.
Maybe. I doubt it. It's getting such a negative reception. Like they sequel teased Death Note, the Death Note movie, and even though I know the Death Note movie got a lot of views, they still didn't make a sequel because the reception was poor enough. Because I think they know that outrage only works for the first entry. It will not make you money on the sequel.
If they
They're
were to
not gonna
make
make an
a
emoji
season
movie
2
too.
anyway, my only suggestion, and this is the big one, hire better writers.
Yeah.
This is one of the worst written shows I've seen, like, this year.
Anyway, I give it a 2 out of 10.
This is a 3 out of 10 for me. Well, there were some things that
You
I
liked it a bit
about
more than me. I know.
a little bit. I did like the banter between Spike and Jet a lot, but those were only few and far between from the main plot, so to say.
All right, now time for Diver Wimpy Kid. So this is yours, Patrick.
It was all right.
That's it.
That's dude. I'm here for Anna and the Apocalypse.
You were the one that put it down. I didn't even watch it until like you put it down.
I put it down only because you guys put down stuff.
Okay, fine. Let's see. What'd you think of the animation?
It was weird, but I got used to it.
Yeah, I didn't really like it. Like the actual movement was fine, but it was like it's clearly the art style was gunning for a 2D Peanuts type thing, but they don't move like a 2D Peanuts type thing. It moves like 3D models.
I think it would have been better if they did from a 2D perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I got used to it, but I still don't think this was like the best choice.
Yeah, they do have some 2D animated segments, but I thought those kind of moved weird. Like I noticed in one sport, like you can even see like the white boxes around those things. I'm like, man, you did not edit that well. But, like,
I did like how, at the very least, when they showed Roderick's perspective, it was like drawn in his like art style, which I thought was neat.
Yeah, that
they didn't really. They didn't do that for like anything else though. Like not even like the comics they drew. Like they were just still images. I thought it would have, because if memory serves, didn't they animate them in the live action movie?
They didn't animate them, but they put like some motion to it.
I'm not really gonna bring up comparisons to the live action movies because it's been like 10 years since I've seen them. And I also
watched the first one like a year ago.
I've seen the first 3.
I rewatched the whole trilogy like a year ago. Yeah, so I still remember.
I haven't read the books in years, so like from what I do remember certain things. There is a lot of stuff that was cut out from the book. I noticed, like the Wizard of Oz section isn't there, the wrestling section isn't there, the crossing guard section isn't there. The Wizard of Oz thing was mentioned. It was mentioned that the school was going to do it, but it was just a passing mention.
I thought it was really weird how they characterized Greg, because like Greg is not that much of a prick in this movie. Like he's an asshole in the original. Like he's like an opportunistic prick who's only trying to raise his social status and sort of mistreats Riley, and that sort of makes the arc where he realizes how much he actually does value Riley's friendship, hit harder in the original movie because he's a bad person. But here, he's not really a bad person. He's just kind of like a kid, and like so because of that, like it's not really, there's no character arc really.
I don't know. I didn't really go into this expecting a whole lot, considering it's not even an hour long. So
I don't know. I figured that it would be fun, but instead it because there were like scenes in the original movie that were also cut from the book. And I figured, oh, this might, adapt some of those, or this might, since it's animated, might be more accurate to the book because the original movie made a lot of changes. I think the changes were for the better, but I think it'd still be just cool to see the original version.
Wasn't one of the biggest changes the for the first live action movie, wasn't like one of the biggest changes they added in like this girl who like lived under the bleachers?
No, that was for the sequel. No, that was the original.
She was not in the book, if memory serves.
They added that character in, yeah.
Yeah.
The main thing I think they added for the live action movie is that Greg actually goes through an arc in each movie, when in there isn't an arc really in the books. Greg just kind of forever stays a prick throughout the movies. He actually learns a lesson, and that lesson actually sticks through each one. Like Riley and Greg, they have a falling out like every few books in the book series, but like they don't have a falling out in the movie trilogy because Greg learned his lesson there. Like each movie is about a different one of his relationships. The first movie is about his relationship with his best friend. The second one's about his relationship with his brother, and the third one's about his relationship with his dad. It was a pretty solid thing. If they made a fourth one, I'd guess it would have been about the mom, but instead we got, they're like, it's about middle school. Middle school's 3 years, 3 movies, whatever.
Watching this movie made me think about middle school. We all went to the same middle school.
Yeah.
That's
it just makes me realize like middle school. I don't know about you guys, but middle school, the way it's portrayed in media, is nothing like it actually is.
It's more like high school when you think about it.
Here's the thing. I feel like the way high school is often depicted is how middle school is, and how high school actually is like a lot more tamer. Because I feel like by the time high school's around, people are kind of like mellowed out. In middle school, you'd get bullied for like liking some nerdy shit, and in high school, people are like, "Who cares, man? Do whatever you want." And also, people curse like sailors in middle school, and like in high school, people showed some restraint.
Because middle school is the middle ground between being a kid and being an adult.
Everyone had their edgy phase in middle school. Yeah. Let's be real.
In middle school,
we did, and we don't speak of it.
What I remember middle school is basically like everyone talked like a South Park character in middle school, when in high school people talked more like, I don't know, Simpsons characters.
I can see that.
And in elementary school, kids talk like children, so yeah, that was just kind of...
I wonder why.
Elementary school people talk like Captain Underpants characters there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it is.
So yeah, I don't know, this movie just made me think about middle school and how my middle school experience, I don't know about you guys, but mine is nothing like how it's usually portrayed.
Oh, and I talked like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes because I was a smartass and I read too much Calvin and Hobbes. Anyway, I'm just gonna go rapid fire my criticism so we don't waste any more times. Okay, I'll just.
I think we've already wasted time.
Yeah, we are currently 34 minutes into the recording.
Yeah, that's fine.
This might be our longest episode.
And I am keeping this in.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad you're keeping it.
Can I just do the rapid fire criticism so we can move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Radical, go for it.
All the scenes shared with this movie are done better than the original. Doesn't do great character work here. Not as funny or heartwarming. Greg is too nice. Arc doesn't work well, or honestly kills the movie. Already mentioned the details in that one. Greg and Riley's falling out doesn't really work here as well as it did in the original. For some reason, they actually cut the instigation of their falling out, so here it just kind of feels weaker. Voice acting was actually pretty good. I like the voice acting. Good job, voice actors. You did good. Fragley's sequence was solid since it was kind of creepy. But again, it was rushed. It's really weird. Oh, some jokes here don't even work unless you read the source material, like the I'm only 3 joke. Only makes sense if you have the actual context that was in the book. Here, they don't actually explain it, so it's not funny. It's just a weird line that some kid says. They cut out a lot of the book, which is fine, but what they kept wasn't super compelling or as good as the original, like I said. And for some reason, the stuff they kept was like truncated. So, like, I don't know. It was weird. 3 out of 10. I was going to give it a 4 out of 10, but then I realized I gave Sponge on the Run a 4 out of 10, and Sponge on the Run looked really good. So I'm like, I'm going to dock it down because it's worse than other movies I've given a 4 out of 10 to. So, yeah. Not awful. I know I'm giving it a super low score, but like it just leaves no impression. It's super dull. It's only an hour long, so it's mercifully short. I'll give you that.
It's not even an hour long. It's 58 minutes.
Yeah.
Isn't the minimum runtime for a movie 50 minutes?
Yeah, for film
Something
festivals.
like that.
Yeah. But anyway, but still, despite the fact that I'm like, it's not like that bad. Why watch it where you can watch the original, which is just this but better, and that movie's still short. It's only an hour and a half long, so like it's not like you're wasting much more time. You're watching like what? Oh, 20 minutes. Who gives a fuck? Let's just watch the original. They need to make an adaptation of 25 years later.
I'm not gay, Greg.
I'm not gay, Greg.
I still laugh when I think about how Manny looks as an adult.
Oh, the fucking lips. The drip off lips. Oh.
That shit still cracks me up.
It looks so weird, but it's so funny.
We're posting the chat.
You gotta include that in the thumbnail somewhere. No, don't do that. That's dumb.
Yeah, in our Anna and the Apocalypse video.
I don't know. Make it a hodgepodge of everything we've talked about.
Look in the chat.
Anyway,
yeah, I see it.
Are we good? We good?
Yeah. All right.
I think we're done.
Okay.
Yep.
Anna and the Apocalypse. Let's actually get into this. This movie was directed by John McPhail in his second directorial effort. He previously directed the 2015 film Where Do We Go From Here?
Wait. He's Scottish. You gotta pronounce it John. Sorry. I was gonna do a bad accent.
He also directed a couple of live-action shorts. On the cast, I don't really recognize anybody. There's Ellen Hunt, Malcolm Cummings, Sarah Swat.
Apparently it's not Ellen.
I said Ella.
No, you said Ellen.
I'm pretty sure. Whatever. Christopher Laveau, Ben Wiggins, Marley Sue, Mark Benton, and Paul Kyle. Do you guys recognize anybody?
No. I am not familiar with British actors.
I am, but these are not famous ones.
Yeah, I don't recognize anybody, but I did look over the production history of this movie. It's actually kind of interesting, albeit a little sad.
Oh wait. I recognize one of them, Paul K.
What's he from?
Who'd he play?
He was in Game of Thrones.
He was Mr. Savage. Okay, so a little bit of production history of this movie. The idea for Anna and the Apocalypse all came from a guy named Ryan McHenry. See, about like 10 years ago, he was watching High School Musical and thought to himself, I'm not really getting into this. I think I'd enjoy this movie a lot more if everybody got eaten by zombies. And that inspired him
I can tell.
That inspired him to create a short film called Zombie Musical, which is about a girl named Anna who goes to a school that gets overrun by zombies. And it's a musical. This short actually got a good amount of attention. It was pretty successful. And apparently it caught the attention of a production company called Black Camel Pictures. And they were interested in adapting it into a feature film, which McHenry signed on to actually direct. Fun fact about Ryan McHenry, actually, that I found in my research. He actually became a minor Vine star. He created a series of Vines titled Ryan Gosling Won't Eat His Cereal.
Oh, shit. I know that one.
Yeah.
I might have seen it. I don't remember.
That was created by him. Those Vines got so popular to the point where Ryan Gosling himself acknowledged them.
Cool.
So, that is kind of crazy. Wasn't expecting that connection, were you?
I just looked up a picture of Ryan McHenry, and this is really throwing me off because his picture on Wikipedia looks like the dude from Max Payne. As in, by dude from Max Payne, I mean Max Payne. He looks like Max Payne.
Unfortunately, though, McHenry passed away in 2015 at 25 years old due to bone cancer. So...
Oh, so is this movie made posthumously?
Yeah. What happened was he told the film's producer, who was a close friend of his, he said that he wanted the film to go on without him. So they obeyed his wish and tried to find a new director. They had difficulty finding somebody to fit, but after they saw Where Do We Go From Here, they gave it to John McPhail. and he took it into his hands. He took the director's chair, and he took inspiration from zombie movies like Night of the Living Dead and Shaun of the Dead, as well as musicals like Rocky Horror Picture Show, West Side Story, and that one musical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. He put in a lot of references too. Like I noticed a couple references to some of the stuff.
Yeah. And the Apocalypse premiered in 2017 and was theatrically released in 2018. It's not known what the budget is, but it only grossed $670,000 worldwide.
Well, so, it was on a limited release though, so
yeah,
that
like
did
this
fine.
This movie went very under the radar. So under the radar that Red, you've never heard of this movie before.
Yes, although surprisingly, some people I followed on Letterboxd did review it, so I'm like, man, I follow some weird ass people on Letterboxd.
Yeah. So yeah, wasn't really a financial hit at all, but it did get some pretty positive reviews. I did hear about this movie back when it came out. I don't remember how. I was curious to see it, but I didn't. I don't know why.
Probably because it didn't release in any of the theaters near us.
Pretty much.
I don't know. Some theaters around us get limited releases, but whatever.
Depends on said release.
I guess.
Man, I haven't been able to get tickets to the newest Wes Anderson movie, and he is a huge.
That played at the AMC, not too far from us.
Yeah, I know, but like it's
so,
like that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so that's the story of how Anna and the Apocalypse came to reality. What is the plot? It's very simple. There's a girl named Anna who's a high school student, and some of her friends who are also high school students. It's Christmas time. Zombie invasion happens, and they need to get to the school where all of their friends and family are to try to get everybody together to hightail the fuck out of town and find somewhere new to go. Very simple plot, pretty character-driven.
I'm surprised it didn't nuke the town by the end.
Yeah. And there's, a lot of musical numbers. Well, a few musical numbers. It's a musical.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the first thing I want to think. So I went into this movie completely blind, knew nothing about it, and by knowing nothing about it, I did not know it was a musical. So once they started singing, I was like, oh, so this is the kind of movie it is. Okay, I'm going to need to change my expectations a bit.
I did tell you guys it was a musical.
Yeah, he did tell us.
Mm-hmm.
I did not remember that you told me that, though.
And I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you went into this movie blind.
Yeah, because I was like...
Or deaf, depending on the context.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was funny that the first line of the movie had the word pandemic in it, because I was like, that's what
that hits too close to home.
Yeah. There's also, like, the teacher says, hand sanitizer is your friend. Remember that.
Yeah.
So anyway, this movie, it's close.
So I guess let's talk about the music. So songs...
Wait, hold up. Ugia, general thoughts.
Well, don't we save that for the end? Yeah, let's just go into the music.
Okay.
Whatever.
What did you think of the choreography?
It was good.
Yeah.
I'm not a musical expert. I don't know how you can tell like good choreography for musical standards, but I mean,
basically, I think that choreography in music and choreography in action scenes kind of go hand in hand. You can judge them pretty much the same. I watched Sing in the Rain. I'm like, man, that kind of reminds me of a Jackie Chan movie. Sounds insane, but it did. And,
I guess in terms of the choreography itself, it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Full of motion. Fit with the song. The songs themselves, that's a bit of a different story.
Here's the thing. I didn't think the songs were bad. They weren't to my personal taste, but none of them grated on me, which is interesting because usually in a musical, even musicals I like, there's usually at least one song that gets on my nerves. Like in Moana, I did not like How Far I'll Go. Granted, there's this one girl in my high school that would sing that song constantly, so maybe I just hated the song because she sang it every fucking day, multiple times. But that's besides the point. None of the songs here annoyed me.
I think the first 3 songs were my personal favorites. The rest of them were good, but not really. They didn't really stick with me that much. They're good songs, but not the most memorable I've heard.
The song I liked was actually just more about what happens in the background rather than the song itself. It's when Anna's going to high school, just like any other day, and she's so happy, she's doing dance moves, she's spinning around, and the entire zombie apocalypse is just unfolding behind her.
Yeah. I think that might have been a reference to Shaun of the Dead, because Shaun of the Dead kind of has like a similar scene where Sean is walking to work and like all these zombies around him. He doesn't even like notice.
But Lugia, what about
Anna's outfit also kind of reminded me of Shaun of the Dead with the white shirt and the tie. But yeah, go on.
It makes sense since again this movie took inspiration from Shaun of the Dead. But
Yes.
Lugia, I want to ask, what about the songs in general?
They're fine. Again, I'm not a musical guy. I don't have the acquired taste for the genre. I mean, they weren't bad.
I got a few thoughts on the singing. So I think the songs themselves were fine enough, decent construction. But I thought that Anna's voice felt too auto-tuned. I don't normally mind that, but since this is a zombie movie, I kind of felt like maybe a more raw or grittier voice would have worked better, or maybe if this was like a rock opera, or maybe if they could have gone like Sound of Music, just so like that full like beautiful unaltered singing voice.
Yeah, this is more or less just like pop.
So yeah, because like if it was that, then the contrast would be better and funnier. But as is, it doesn't really fit, and it's not really that good of a contrast, and just kind of feels fake. Which brings me to the song that I really, really like. Now, this is a song I think is catchy. I think it's fun, and I don't have any issues with the singing. That's the I think the villain song, "Nothing Stopping Me Now." You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's
that
just the one where he's going insane, right?
I'm gonna be honest. That was my least favorite song. Though that might be more because, honestly, I didn't think this movie needed a villain. Or at the very
I'll
least,
admit that. That's fair, but like yeah, that's fair. I didn't think the movie needed a villain either.
But because the thing is, Mr. Savage has no real motive or gain for being the villain.
He's the headmaster, and he likes his school. That's his motivation.
That's the extent he's headmaster. Because the people want to leave the school because it's not safe. They want to go somewhere else. But Mr. Savage is like, this is my school. I'm headmaster. But they still want to leave. So he opens the door and lets the zombies in.
Yeah, you never want to have this guy host a party because then he'll never let you leave.
Yeah, his motivation really didn't make any sense. He didn't really need to be like a main antagonist. Like, I'm fine with him being in the movie for like conflict for the main characters. But at the end of the movie, him being like a main antagonist, that just felt unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I still like the song, so.
Well, to each their own.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it should have been either more operatic or more rock. Maybe it could have been Queen. That's kind of both.
Actually, Patrick, funny that you mentioned that you think the beginning was your favorite part, because I think narratively, anyway, it got better near the end, where there were more consequences, the stakes were getting higher, people actually died, there were consequences.
Well, I said the beginning songs are my favorite. I liked the opening song on the radio. I liked what's essentially the I Want song, and I liked the Hollywood ending song.
Yeah, I agree with Patrick.
Which also comes back in the ending.
And
I like the Hollywood ending song. Shit, I'll admit that. I like the Hollywood ending song. Yeah, that was good.
And I also liked the dirty song they sang at the play. I thought that was funny.
I thought this movie started pretty good, and I feel like it kind of lost some steam towards the end, but I still liked it all the way through.
It became a different movie near the end, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I think what they did, though, was subverted expectations despite the foreshadowing. I did like it.
Yeah.
I will say, other than the antagonist, my only other big criticism with the film is, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the beginning of the zombie invasion, it felt a bit off. Like, Anna and John, they felt a bit too reserved when they saw their first zombie.
Anna did. I thought the other guy did fine.
No, like they see the zombie, Anna just whacks him with her purse. Like, not even a scream or anything, just whacks him with the purse, and I'm like...
Well, then again, she didn't think zombies were real. It might have just been a pervert for all she knows.
No, like, that man's face was decayed. Hell no.
No, there is a segment in the movie where Anna does not think the zombies are real.
Yeah, well, that's just
so she couldn't think it was a zombie.
I don't know. The start of the zombie invasion felt a little off to me. It did pick up, though.
Dude wasn't doing anything creepy. He was just kind of standing there. And like, yeah, whatever. I feel like I made a lot of Shaun of the Dead comparisons, but I don't know. This kind of just felt like it was trying to do a lot of things Shaun of the Dead did, but better. Because even like the friendship, even like the music stuff. Shaun of the Dead isn't a musical, but it has like a sequence where they play like Queen music and like it's all in sync. And again, I said Queen kind of fits gritty and operatic, which is a good contrast and fits. But yeah.
Did you guys have a favorite character?
I like
No.
Anna quite a bit. I don't know. Anna.
I wasn't really too partial towards the cast.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
They did the job. I wouldn't say any of them stood out.
This reminded me of like, because it's a horror movie, the cast didn't bother me. If it was something else, maybe it would. But like horror movies always kind of have just kind of like paint by numbers cast. But it's almost the point. Like the whole point isn't really like you get invested in the characters. It's more of like you see these characters, these different character types go through these weird scenarios. Like to me, I don't know, it was fine for me, and Anna kind of fit the whole role as like a musical Disney princessy type lead got suddenly thrown into a zombie apocalypse. I thought it worked.
Yeah, the characters are pretty par for the course, but I did think they were likable.
Yeah, and I think they fit the role.
I think my personal favorite was probably Steph. I don't know, I really liked her.
Steph was who again?
Steph was the one with the short hair.
Ah, okay.
Her. Yeah, no, I liked her. Yeah,
she was fine.
I thought she had some of the best lines.
Yeah. This movie unfortunately is British, but it's the Scottish part of the UK, so acceptable. My expectations wise, I thought this was gonna be Shaun of the Dead, but with like music. Once I figured out it was a musical, it ended up being more of like Glee versus zombies or like High School Musical versus zombies. But that's pretty cool too. I like that too.
It's a fun idea.
Yeah, a lot of references to zombie movies. I noticed.
I've not seen many zombie.
The point
movies,
of one character was that he watched a lot of horror movies, and he ended up
fair.
dying. So womp womp.
Yeah, that's another thing I got to give this movie credit. Like they actually kill off a good portion of the main cast.
Even characters you wouldn't think would die, like John, he dies pretty early on.
Oh, yeah,
you'd think he'd be like the Endgame type.
So, pardon the pun. This movie has guts.
Yeah. Ironically, it kind of reminded me of two horror movies we've seen before on this. Resident Evil, where a bunch of people die, and Scream, where it's a comedy, and we kind of have like the self-aware character who's seen all the movies and shit.
Yeah, I was thinking about Scream when I saw this movie.
Yeah. A little bit.
That, and I've also never seen Shaun of the Dead yet, so that's the only other thing I could really compare it to.
Okay, so my favorite scene is probably the bowling alley scene. I thought that was just a great sequence. Good action, good comedy. I especially think the gag where the zombie's head gets decapitated and ends up in like the ball retrieval. That's just an A+ gag.
Yeah.
That's like an all-time, like, that's a great zombie gag.
Yeah, that was a fun
surprised
sequence.
I'm generally surprised I have not seen that joke done before, but like when I saw it, I was like, that's such a perfect joke. Like, how could no one have ever thought of that before? But yeah.
Some pretty fun kills in this movie as well.
Yeah.
Like that one.
Surprisingly gory too.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what you expect a zombie movie to be gory, right?
Well, yeah, but the beginning makes you think otherwise since it's a musical. I thought it would be like a little more lighthearted, but no, this got really fucking serious.
Yep. Overall, it was fun. I don't think it grabbed me quite as much as like some other zombie flicks have, but I enjoyed my time quite a bit. Felt it lost a little bit of steam. It's still pretty good. One thing I want to mention: the score, the horror part of the score, at some points reminded me of the score of 28 Days Later. Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
No.
Okay, well, it's another British zombie movie, so I'm wondering if that might have just been a reference. But yeah, some parts of the score remind me of 28 Days Later.
Also, guys, this movie ends with a jump scare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot
literally
about that.
Literally the last shot in the movie.
Yeah, that's a horror movie staple too, though.
I know, Zombie Santa.
It's just you think like the banner flies across the screen. You think it's gonna be black. Nope, Zombie Santa.
The banner, mate.
I got a couple more things to say before we wrap up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Toby Fox is gonna owe some money to a dead man because he stole the potassium joke from this movie. Literally, one of the jokes in this movie was that John ate a banana and said potassium. I'm on to you, Toby.
Okay.
And this came out like 4 years earlier.
Also, guys,
wait, did it come out 4 years earlier?
Yeah, this was 2017, right?
But when did the Toby Fox thing?
I'd argue this movie came out in 2018, since that's when most people saw it.
2-3 years, yeah. Deltarune Chapter 2 came out this year, so he kind of owes some
Okay.
royalties.
No, but since it came out in 2017, that means
it premiered in 2017. It didn't get a theatrical release until 2018, though.
Okay, point is, second best zombie movie I saw that year then. Because One Cut of the Dead happened to come out same time, and I really like that movie. And I'm not just saying that because One Cut of the Dead is the kind of movie that I've always wanted to make for the past like 6 years. But yeah, all right. But yeah, good movie, 7 out of 10.
I'm on the exact same boat, 7 out of 10.
As am I. Yeah, pretty fun movie.
This is the most 7 out of 10 movie there is. This is the only time I think the only time we've ever given it the same score.
Yeah, if you're curious, if you like zombie movies, you like musicals, you like Christmas, give it a watch.
Yeah, I put it right above The Walk, but below Spider-Man 3, my beloved.
I think I put this below The Invisible Man.
And I don't do the tier list anymore, so whatever.
Coward.
Oh, yeah.
Because whatever.
So, some recommendations if you like zombie movies and comedies and musicals and Christmas, whatever. If you like this, you might like Zombieland because it's a comedy zombie, road trip movie. Shaun of the Dead, UK comedy zombie movie, and it's got a music sequence, probably the closest one.
Actually,
Nightmare Before Christmas because that's a horror musical that got Christmas vibes.
That's actually probably a good way to describe this movie to people. What is it? It's basically a musical Zombieland.
Yeah. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, basically like zombie horror parody comedy thing. Rocky Horror Picture Show, horror musical comedy. The musical episode of Buffy, horror musical honestly, this is incredibly like the Buffy episode. Like I
makes sense.
Definitely say Buffy fans would like this.
Again, makes sense since it took inspiration from it.
The Happiness of the Katakuris, which is a Japanese musical zombie horror comedy. This movie even references it. This one was directed by Takashi Mike, who I think I referenced earlier in this episode. And obviously, since I mentioned 28 Days Later earlier in this episode, the 28 Days Later. And is there any other movies you mentioned? Oh, right. We mentioned Scream, so yeah, I'll put Scream on the list too. Fuck it, Scream.
And we also said Resident Evil, but...
Resident Evil just because they killed off a lot of characters, surprisingly, in that. Yeah. All right. So, now it's my recommendation, I guess?
Yep.
That it is.
Okay, so I got a couple ideas for Christmas movies, so I'm going to give you options. So,
oh boy.
I got a Christmas animated movie, a Christmas action movie, a John Hughes Christmas movie, a Christmas romantic comedy. Those are the options. I don't know why.
I'm going to assume the Christmas action movie is Die Hard.
And I'm guessing the animated movie is Rhapsody Street Kids.
No.
Good.
They're all good movies. All of those movies are things that I think are good.
Good.
All right? It's not Rhapsody Street Kids. All right.
Good.
And there are a lot of Christmas action movies. A lot of people don't know this, but every Shane Black movie is Christmas. Do you want me to tell you the names, or are you just going to get... You cool with just picking based on those 4 descriptors?
I'd like to hear the names.
Yeah, as would I.
All right, the Christmas anime movie is Tokyo Godfathers by Satoshi Kon. Christmas action movie is Die Hard, but we've already seen Die Hard, so that one's the one I just put on the list because I felt like I fucking had to. John Hughes Christmas classic is, funny enough, I thought it'd be funnier if we reviewed National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation instead of Home Alone, because Home Alone's like the John Hughes Christmas movie everyone talks about, but I'm like, what about the other one? And the Christmas romantic comedy I was going to suggest was the Billy Wilder classic, The Apartment.
So Tokyo Godfather, Die Hard, and The Apartment?
Yeah, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Quite a number of options.
Yeah.
My vote...
I would say Die Hard just to be funny. I'm actually more interested in The Apartment.
A part of me is leaning towards Christmas Vacation.
And I kind of wanted the Tokyo Godfathers.
How do we decide this?
Interesting.
Do we go with the one nobody picked?
Nah. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna take off Die Hard from the list just because, like, I still think it'd be funny if we made Die Hard 3 the first Die Hard I recommend on this podcast. So I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna explain the plot. So Tokyo Godfathers is explicitly a Christmas
Why don't we just
movie.
spin a wheel and see?
No, I'm gonna make you choose. Okay, the Apartment has actually very little to do with Christmas. It's just it happens to take place on Christmas. So
Well, we just talked about a movie that happens to take place on Christmas.
yeah,
I feel like
okay,
feel
I'm
like
gonna go with my gut, Tokyo Godfathers. I wanted to talk about Satoshi Kon for a while too, so yeah, why not? Okay, next week we're doing Tokyo Godfathers. It is an anime movie by the director of my favorite movie, Perfect
wait,
Blue.
we didn't decide.
No, he
No, I said,
decided.
yeah, I decided.
So we're scrapping the vote.
Yes, we were given
Yeah,
the
fuck
illusion
it.
of choice.
All right.
This conversation helped me boil it down. All right, you made me choose between my favorite director and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And you know what?
Alright.
Technically, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is technically the third part of a trilogy.
Well, dude, if you really wanted to talk about Tokyo Godfathers, you could have just said we're doing Tokyo Godfathers. No choice.
Yes, I don't know. I do like The Apartment. Like, The Apartment is probably my favorite movie of the four we mentioned, but I don't know. It's basically like your choice about like I want to like decide whether I want to choose like my favorite movie on the list or my favorite like Christmas movie on the list.
You
like,
bamboozled us.
I don't know, because I like The Nice Guys, Die Hard, and The Apartment more than Tokyo Godfathers, but Tokyo Godfathers, I don't know.
Alright.
Anyway, Tokyo Godfathers 2003 from Satoshi Kon. You can watch it dubbed or subbed, but watch the current dub, the modern dub. There are two dubs, I believe. So, if you're gonna watch it dubbed, I just recommend watching it subtitled. This is gonna be fun because you're gonna see the only normal Satoshi Kon movie. His other movies are really fucking weird.
I can say that from experience. Perfect Blue is a trip.
Yes, and it's amazing. And I'm gonna make you guys watch it one day for this. Okay, wait. Okay, so next week is Lugia, then Patrick again, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then me again. My condolences for when it's my turn.
It's gonna be Doug Walker.
Shut up. I got plans. I planned out what my next like 5 movies are gonna be.
Back at the very beginning of the Baby Driver episode, you said, I'm not recommending Doug Walker. I'm dugged out.
I said, I'm dugged out for the year, bitch.
No, you didn't. It's in recording. It's in recording. You said, I am dugged out.
I said, I'm not recommending it anymore for the year, but also there's a lot of other YouTubers. I just want to keep December Christmas month, so we're only recommending Christmas. We're only watching Christmas during the month of December. And then January, normal.
I'm closing us out.
I might recommend a romantic comedy for Valentine's Day. Who knows?
I'm closing us out. This has been It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. There is no such thing as a Hollywood ending, so this is ending with... I don't know. End it. Just end it.